Okay, I call the meeting to order. Somebody call the roll for us, please.
Commissioner Alexander, Commissioner DeBrava,
Here.
Commissioner Ellis,
Aye, here.
Commissioner Means, Commissioner Hyder,
Here.
Commissioner Mann,
Here.
Commissioner Bridges.
First item of business is to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I got a motion and a second on the, if you call the roll, please.
Commissioner Mann,
Aye.
Commissioner Hyder,
Aye.
Commissioner Ellis,
Aye.
Commissioner DeBrava,
Aye.
Next item of business is the approval of the minutes. Any changes in the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Ellis,
I have to abstain.
Commissioner Mann,
Aye.
Commissioner Hyder,
Aye.
Commissioner DeBrava.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, first item of business is draft minutes. Looking at the minutes of the 8/12. Is that what we just did? It is, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Tonight we're going to have 5 public hearings, and we have a procedure with respect to public hearings. If you haven't been here before, we will review that with you.
The Planning and Zoning Commission holds public hearings as required by law and provides recommendations to City Council on matters relating to land use planning, zoning, and the subdivision of land. Any person who has interest in the subject matter of a hearing will have the opportunity to provide testimony and present evidence to the Commission during the public hearing. Speakers are required to conduct themselves in an orderly and respectful manner. Disruptive behavior, including applause, yelling, speaking out of turn, or other inappropriate behaviors will not be tolerated. Additionally, the following applies to any person addressing the Commission. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes unless authorized additional time by the chairperson. Speakers must speak at the podium unless previous arrangements have been made by the chairperson. Speakers must legibly print their name and address on the sign-in sheet at the podium prior to speaking. Speakers must begin by stating their name and address, and speakers should speak clearly and into the microphone. The chairperson will announce the subject of the hearing, followed by a report from staff. The chairperson will then open the public hearing to the applicant, followed by those in favor of the application and those opposed to the application. The chairperson will close the public hearing during this time. The commission will discuss amongst themselves. The public may not address the commission after the close of the public hearing unless requested by the chairperson. The Planning and Zoning Commission shall base their recommendation and/or decision on information and evidence presented during the public hearing. This decision, if required by the application, will be forwarded in writing to City Council for further consideration.
Thank you, Patrick. The first public hearing we're going to have is rezone 24-016, a public hearing and possible vote to recommend the approval of an application to change the zoning classification of approximately 3.1 acres located at 3155 East Sawyer Road from Eclipse Event Center Planned Development District, PDD, to light industrial. M1. Patrick.
Thank you. The City of Republic has applied to change the zoning classification of approximately 3.10 acres of property located at 3155 East Sawyer Road from Eclipse Event Center Planned Development District, PDD, to light industrial M1. The property subject to the rezone application consists of approximately 3.1 acres of land located at 3155 East Sawyer Road. The property is currently vacant but was previously the site of the Brookline South Lift Station prior to it being located to the west within the Hankins Farm subdivision in 2023. The following paragraphs contain brief analysis of present site conditions as well as the proposal's relationship to adopted plans of the city. The city's comprehensive plan generally encourages the expansion of residential and commercial development through proactive rezoning of land at appropriate locations. Appropriate locations are described generally throughout the plan with regard to the relationship of land at particular locations to infrastructure capable of supporting various intensities and densities of uses. This particular rezone recognizes potential infill sites as opportunities for development while mitigating impacts to adjacent established properties by supporting the development of vacant parcels as opportunities for densification that is harmonious with the surrounding development. It also supports new development that is well connected to the existing community by encouraging development that improves and expands upon existing infrastructure, and also promotes development aligning with the current adopted plans of the city. Lastly, it encourages the redevelopment and integration of the former Brookline area by supporting the development of an industrial commercial center where infrastructure and transportation exists. The rezoning of this parcel is consistent with the city's adopted plans. The subject property is adjacent to the Hankins Farm Planned Development District, PDD, to the west, east, and north property lines. The lots within the Hankins Farm PDD neighboring the subject property are assigned land uses permitted in the light industrial M1 zoning district. It is also adjacent to light industrial M1 zone parcels to the south across East Sawyer Street. The light industrial M1 zoning district is intended to permit and establish regulations to provide a designated location for restricted manufacturing and related uses, which are separated from dissimilar uses. Such rezoning would be compatible with the surrounding land uses. City water and sewer systems have capacity to serve this property if the application is approved. The property has access to wastewater infrastructure through a 15-inch gravity sanitary sewer line that runs through the property from east to west parallel to the floodplain to an existing lift station. Effluent would travel through gravity lines to the Brookline South Lift Station, McElhaney Lift Station, and the Schuler Creek Lift Station before being pumped through a series of force mains to the wastewater treatment facility. Water is currently available to the site through an 8-inch water main in close proximity to the east and a 12-inch water main across Sawyer Road. The water system, named lift stations, and wastewater treatment facility currently have capacity to serve the intended use. The property has access off of Sawyer Road, a secondary arterial class road. The traffic impact study, or a TIS, requirement for this rezone application has been waived. However, the city still reserves the right to conduct a TIS if the application for the site was a commercial land use in nature. The subject parcel does contain a special flood hazard area. Development of the parcels would require compliance with the city's floodplain regulations and associated auxiliary permits from the Corps of Engineers for the identified blue line stream if it goes through there. The subject property does not contain an identified sinkhole. Staff considers the proposed zoning amendment to be generally consistent with the goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan, consistent with the trend of development in the vicinity of the site, compatible with surrounding land uses, and able to be adequately served by municipal facilities. Based upon this analysis, performed without the benefit of evidence and testimony of public hearing, staff recommends approval of this application.
Okay. Is there anyone else from the petitioner who wishes to speak besides Patrick? Is there anyone who opposes the application here who wishes to speak? If so, come forward and tell us. Not seeing anyone making movement towards the microphone, I'll close the hearing. Okay. What's everybody think?
Motion to approve the rezone case 24-016.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to recommend the approval of an application to change the zoning classification of approximately 3.1 acres located at 3155 East Sawyer Road from Eclipse Event Center Planned Development District, PDD, to light industrial M1. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Hyder,
Aye.
Commissioner Mann,
Aye.
Commissioner DeBrava,
Aye.
Commissioner Ellis.
Aye. Thank you. Now move to our second hearing, PDD 24-003, public hearing and possible vote to recommend the approval of an application to change the zoning classification of approximately 28.88 acres located at the 7200 block of West Farm Road 170 from Kirkwood Estates Planned Development District, PDD 23-005, to Kirkwood Estates Planned Development District, amended PDD. Chris? I think
Thank you.
you're up.
Calkirk and Kirkworks LLC have applied to change the zoning classification of 28.88 acres of property located at 7200 block of West Farm Road 170 from the Kirkwood Estates Planned Development District, PDD 23-005, to Kirkwood Estates Planned Development District, amended PDD. The property subject to this rezone consists of a total of 4 parcels. The current zoning is for the site is the current Kirkwood Estates Planned Development District. Lot 1 right now is Kirk's Collision Center and Auto Repair Shop, and the remaining lots are vacant. This is a previous site of a development plan that was passed the first time at July 26th of 22, and the second time after an initial amendment was made and on October 17th of 23 by the same applicant. They've kind of been tweaking their plan a little bit over time to find the best mix of design to facilitate this project. So right now, the plan they're putting forward is similar in some of the use and design elements to the previous proposed plan. The most substantial change to this plan is going to be a reconfiguration of the residential portion. The previously approved development plan allowed for a total of 50 lots, and those lots adhere to the required standards of the medium-density single-family residential R1M zoning district. The new proposed plan allows for 59 lots, and those adhere to the required standards of the high-density single-family residential R1H zoning district. Lots 1 through 6 will remain as commercial use lots that will meet the City of Republic's general commercial C2 zoning district regulations. The applicant is proposing to rezone to this planned development district, and as I said, it will consist of 2 separate uses, commercial and single-family residential. The screening and parking requirements will be in compliance with the City of Republic's adopted municipal code for each of these districts. The development plan will also contain new water, sanitary sewer, stormwater systems to support the development. The required secondary arterial street, Bailey Avenue, and local streets to support the development will also be constructed through this development plan. Specifically, the applicant's proposal includes the following elements. Lots 1 through 6, general commercial C2. These will fall into compliance with the City of Republic's general commercial C2 district regulations through our code. There's a total area of 10.26 acres of commercial, 6 lots, and the permitted uses are all of those that fall within the general commercial C2 zoning district. Lots 7 through 65 consist of high-density single-family residential R1H lots, and these will fall into compliance with the city's high-density single-family residential district R1H regulations. The lot area is 11.81 acres, and there are a total of 59 lots there. Permitted uses will be those in the single-family residential zoning district. The density is 4.9 dwelling units per acre. Will you double-check that zoning density for me real quick? The following paragraph, the following will contain a brief analysis of site conditions as well as the proposal's relationship to the adopted plans of the city. The purpose of the plan development regulations is to allow for mixed-use, unconventional, or innovative arrangements of land at public facilities which would be difficult to develop under the conventional land use and development regulations of the city. Planned unit developments must demonstrate substantial congruence with each of the following conditions in order to be considered eligible for approval. The proposed development plan shall involve a mixture of variation of land uses or densities. Kirkwood Estates is a residential and commercial mixed-use development consisting of single-family and commercial lots. The proposed development plan shall involve the provision of all infrastructure deemed necessary to adequately serve the potential development. The Kirkwood Estates PDD development plan includes provisions for municipal water and sewer services, a plan for stormwater management, and the construction and dedication of a secondary arterial street, Bailey Avenue, which is identified in the city's major thoroughfare plan. The proposed development plan shall involve design elements that promote the City of Republic's comprehensive plan and other adopted plans of the city. The City of Republic's comprehensive and land use plans promote the expansion of commercial and residential development at locations supported by the city's water, sanitary sewer, and transportation networks. The Kirkwood Estates development can be adequately supported by the city's capacities for water, sewer, and transportation. The proposed development plan shall involve design elements intended to lessen congestion in the streets, to secure safety from fire, panic, and other dangers, to promote health and the general welfare, to provide adequate light and air, to prevent the overcrowding of land, to avoid undue concentration of population, to preserve features of historical significance, to facilitate the adequate provision of transportation, water, sewerage, schools, parks, and other public improvements. The Kirkwood Estates Development Plan includes the construction of a secondary arterial street, Bailey Avenue, identified on the city's major thoroughfare plan. The street will connect the development from East US Highway 60 to West Farm Road 170 and then to the south property line of the development. The city's comprehensive plan generally encourages the expansion of residential and commercial development through proactive rezoning of land at appropriate locations. Appropriate locations are described generally throughout the plan with regard to the relationship of land at particular locations to infrastructure capable of supporting various intensities and densities of uses. The 2021 Comprehensive Plan and Land Use Plan identifies land use goals and objectives relating to development as follows. Goal, to support market conditions to develop a greater variety of residential options. Objective, to support a variety of housing developments and styles to ensure a range of options are available. Goal, to support new development that is well connected to the existing community. Objective, encourage development that improves and expands upon existing infrastructure. Objective, to promote development aligning with current adopted plans of the city, and to support the development of vacant parcels as opportunities for densification harmonious with surrounding development. Goal, to recognize the potential infill sites as opportunities for development. And objective, to support the development of vacant parcels as opportunities for densification harmonious with surrounding development. The subject site is surrounded by existing agricultural, commercial, and residential zone properties and uses. To the north is the highway itself. To the south is Greene County agricultural property. To the east is medium-density single-family residential R1M and Greene County general commercial property. To the west is local commercial C1 and general commercial C2 and Greene County general commercial property. The land uses permitted in the applicant's proposal are considered to be generally compatible with the surrounding agriculture and residential zone properties and uses in proximity to the subject parcel. Portions of the proposed development are currently served by the City of Republic Sanitary Sewer and Water Service. The remaining portions of the development not currently served by these utilities are in proximity to these services. The proposed development will connect to existing gravity sewer mains in the area. The effluent will travel from the development to the McElhaney lift stations and then to the Schuler Creek lift station before being pumped to the wastewater treatment facility. The development will be served via a looped water system connecting to existing water mains parallel to East Highway US 60 and Farm Road 170, and to an existing water main located in the subdivision to the east. The exact location and size of the water mains required to serve the development will be determined during the infrastructure design process. The development plan includes the construction and dedication of a new secondary arterial within the development area known as Bailey Avenue, which is identified in the city's major thoroughfare and transportation plans, in addition to multiple local streets to serve lots within the development. The applicant provided a traffic impact study, TIS memo, reviewed by MoDOT and the City of Republic to analyze the impact of the traffic generated from the proposed development. The result of the traffic impact study memo indicate that the development warrants a right-in, right-out at the intersection of East US Highway 60. The improvements are required during the initial phase of construction of Bailey Avenue from West Farm Road 170 to East US Highway 60. The transportation improvements required to support the developments are the responsibility of the developer. The city will be working with MoDOT and the applicant throughout the development process, including during construction of the required transportation improvements to support the development. No parcel within this development will have direct access to East US Highway 60 or West Farm Road 170 upon completion of the development. The development plan contains areas designated for stormwater retention detention designed to accommodate stormwater generated by the development. Additional stormwater areas and/or easements may be required through the engineering design process. The stormwater retention detention areas, drainage easements, and all open space or common areas will be owned and maintained by the developer and/or a property owners association. The subject parcel does not contain any areas of special flood hazard area. The subject parcel does not contain any identified sinkholes. All developments must include site design, providing for sufficient emergency vehicle access as well as fire protection facilities. Additional elements of code compliance evaluated at the time of infrastructure design impacting the development of the subject property include but are not limited to the city's zoning regulations, adopted fire code, and adopted building code. The next steps in the process of development of the subject parcel upon a favorable rezoning outcome would be the development, review, and approval of an infrastructure permit for the construction of utility services and roads. Staff considers the proposed zoning map amendment to be generally consistent with the goals and objectives of the comprehensive and land use plans, generally consistent with the trend of development in the vicinity of the site, generally compatible with surrounding land uses, and able to be adequately served by municipal facilities. Specifically, the proposed development can be adequately served by the city's municipal water and sanitary sewer services and the city's transportation network. Based upon this analysis performed without the benefit of evidence and testimony of a public hearing, staff is recommending approval of this application. I wanted to go back real quick and point out a typo that if you were looking at this on this, there's a part where there's a breakdown of the two zonings and it lists the lots and their uses. There is some references to medium density single family in lots 7 through 65. That is, I just want to emphasize that is high density single family. So those are typos in there. That density breakdown to 4.9 acres is the real density breakdown when you take the number of lots against the total acreage. And I think it comes to closer to 4.99. If there are any questions.
We'll move on then. Is there anyone, is the applicant here or someone on behalf of the applicant? Thank you.
Chairman, members of the board, my name is Rick Wilson. I'm Wilson Surveying Company, representing Kyle Kirk, the owner of the property. I think you've had a good presentation, our side of it. Be happy to answer any questions.
Some may come up when we're discussing it, and if so, we know
Be
where
happy
you
to come
are.
back.
As long as you don't walk out the door. Thank you. Is there anyone else that's in favor of the application that wishes to speak? Is there anyone who's opposed to the application that wishes to speak? Not seeing either. We'll close the hearing and discuss.
You mentioned that Bailey's on the thoroughfare plan for Republic. Does that mean that this is a future location for a signal on Highway 60?
So at this time, I believe what that would be is a right in, right out, and not a signaled intersection. I want to say that there are potential plans at some point in the future if Bailey were ever to go to the other side of 60, when that would potentially become an intersection with a light.
You are correct. MoDOT conducted a corridor study several years ago that did identify improvements from MM all the way into Republic, and that is a potential location for a new signalized intersection at some point in the future. That improvement would be done by MoDOT and not the City of Republic.
Questions or motions?
Motion to approve PDD 24-003.
Thank you, sir.
Second.
Thank you, sir. Have a motion to, oops, sorry. Motion to recommend the approval of an application to change the zoning classification of approximately 28.88 acres located at the 7200 block of West Farm Road 170 from Kirkwood Estates Plan Development District, PDD 23-005, to Kirkwood Estates Plan Development District, PDD. Call the roll.
Commissioner Mann?
Aye.
Commissioner Hyder?
Aye.
Commissioner Ellis?
Aye.
Commissioner DeBravo?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Next item for hearing is VACA 24-002, recommending the approval of an application to vacate a portion of our right-of-way along East Green Tree Street. And who's got that? Chris. Thank you, Rick.
So I'll go ahead and kind of, these next two items are related to each other. I'll kind of quickly cover them so that we don't have to cover some of the same material here. The city took, if you wouldn't mind going back to that, Michael, that last one. So the city took the right-of-way of all of that pink strip that you see there, all that was within the city limits. The city was dedicated the right-of-way by the property owner as part of a developer's agreement that accompanied the development of the second phase of Wilson's Valley PDD. So when they came through and developed phase 2, which you can see on there is kind of the middle portion of the housing of the single-family homes, we understood that they didn't need to build that whole street at that time, and so kind of the compromise was that they go ahead and dedicate the right-of-way at that time. They also dedicated right-of-way of Green Tree Street, which is the southern street there, the very southern street along the property line. So we took that in, and at that point, they began to do infrastructure planning and permitting. As conditions on the ground kind of changed, there was some redesign in that road, and there's a bend now in that road as it exists in the real world. So what we are looking to do is to vacate the portion of the right-of-way that we did not end up needing, and we will get the portion that we now will have from the bend through final platting and through a separate dedication of the phase 1 portion. So because this is in 2 separate phases, we're doing it in 2 vacations. If you'd click down 2 times. If you go, I'm sorry, if you go to the item 2 away from this. Yep, now 1 page, 1 more page down. I think it's the second page of that. So as you can see here, here is the phase 2, for instance, portion of that. So you can see the gray there is the portion that we're looking to be vacated. It was originally dedicated to the city, and we're going to get a different piece of that, to the north that will actually finish that street up. So, Michael, if you don't mind going back to, I think we need to do, I want to say 4. Are you going to get us there? Yep, okay. So this is the first one. So this is the first vacation. This is the first piece that we're looking to vacate. So I'll go ahead and start with this one. Then we'll move to the second piece that's in phase 2. The Buildings Department is requesting a vacation of approximately 3,586 square feet of right-of-way along East Green Tree Street. The Buildings Department is requesting the vacation because the alignment of the street was redesigned prior to being constructed in Wilson's Valley phase 2. The resulting redesign of the street required reconfiguration of the existing right-of-way dedicated by a separate right-of-way instrument in Book 2024, page 001686-24. The vacation will account for the new right-of-way that was dedicated in Wilson's Valley Phase 2 final plat. The vacated portion of the road will be returned to the adjacent property owner and is anticipated to be incorporated into a common area for Wilson's Valley. The Bills Department recommends the approval of the requested street vacation.
Is that good for, is what you just said good for both of these hearings?
No, I do have
03 and
2 separate staff reports.
Okay. You've already given us the staff report for 002.
I'm happy to just kind of summarize the differences in these, if that's
That would
allowable.
be fine. I think we need to vote them separately, though.
Yes.
Sure. So I'll just summarize quickly. The body of this is the same. The only difference is that, so the square footage of right-of-way of East Green Tree Street, that's the only difference, is the portion that's the
I'm
right-of-way.
sorry, let's back up a minute. This is on VACA 24-003 that you're talking about now, right?
So I was going to move to 003. Is that,
No, that's fine. I'm
Okay.
just trying to identify it for the record, what you're talking about. So you're dealing right now with 002.
right? So 002, 1920 square feet of right-of-way along East Green Tree Street. And that's the main difference between the two. Now, if we go to 003,
I think just for clarification purposes, let's go ahead and have commission discussion on the item, just to keep them separate for the
Yeah, I think we
record.
need to. It's gonna
And
get
a vote.
confusing.
It is slightly confusing.
I'm sorry. It was a good idea. If I'd started out that way, I could have read both of them at the very beginning. I don't know that there's really any differences in them, but there may be. And I was going to have to allow people who had, who opposed it to come up and speak on the.
it's a shorter staff report. It won't hurt too
Fine.
bad, right?
Okay, so we are voting on VACA 24002, and that's recommending the approval of an application to vacate a portion of the right-of-way along East Green Tree Street. Unfortunately, the definition of 003 is exactly the same, but it is a different part of the right-of-way, which we're going to find out in a minute. So we're dealing only with 002. Is there any discussion on this? None? Somebody want to make a motion?
Motion to recommend the approval of vacation 24-002.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to recommend the approval of an application to vacate a portion of the right-of-way along East Green Tree Street, which is specified in the documentation on VACA 24-002. Call the roll.
Commissioner Ellis,
Aye.
Commissioner Hyder,
Aye.
Commissioner Mann,
Aye.
Commissioner DeBrava.
Aye.
Okay. Now we'll move to VACA 24-003. And if you just want to summarize, because actually I just think it's down the street, so to speak.
So you're correct. This next portion is, in the real world, it's connected to that. It's only differentiated by, the phasing of this plat. So this portion is in Phase 2 of Wilson's Valley and covers (3,586) square feet of right-of-way. So again, this is just due to the change in alignment of the street that happened during the construction of the street. We're looking to vacate the right-of-way that we took prior to this infrastructure permitting, and to go ahead and give that back to the adjacent property owner, and they'll, put that into a common area to the south there.
Okay. You done?
Staff is recommending approval.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here who would be in favor, who wants to speak in favor of this application? Is there anyone here that wishes to, is opposed to the application and wishes to speak? Not being able to convince anybody that they want to come forward, we'll close this hearing.
Motion to recommend the approval of vacation 24-003.
Second.
I have a motion and second recommending the approval, to recommend the approval of an application to vacate a portion of the right-of-way along East Green Tree Street, which has been discussed and is in the information in the record here on VACA 24-003. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner DeBrava,
Aye.
Commissioner Ellis,
Aye.
Commissioner Mann,
Aye.
Commissioner Hyder.
Aye.
Okay, our final public hearing is ordinance 24-002, public hearing and possible vote to recommend approval of amendments to sections of Chapter 405 zoning requirements. Patrick has it.
Consideration to approve amendments that specifically relates to section 405.148 MSD Main Street District and additional sections that generally regulates such district in chapter 405 zoning regulations. The City of Republic is requesting amendments to chapter 405 zoning regulations, specifically to section 405.148 Main Street District and additional sections that generally regulate such district. Additional sections being considered for amendments are called out in the following articles. Article 405.2, Destination of Districts and General District Regulations, Section 405.030. Article 405.5, Height and Area Requirements, Exceptions and Modifications, Section 405.540 and 405.545. Article 405.6, Off-Street Parking and Loading Requirements, Section 405.570. Article 405.7, Additional District Provisions, Sections 405.620, and Article 405.10, Landscaping and Screening, Sections 405.750, 405.770, and 405.810. In general, implementing a new zoning district is needed when two challenges are presented within a defined geographical area. Those challenges would include when existing uses and structures are unable to conform to the present zoning regulations and future development to the existing zoning district standards as offered in Republic Municipal Code would drastically change the unique character of the area. The proposed Main Street District amendments address both challenges for downtown Republic and specifically outline the following. The first one is the intent, and it implements a district that accommodates mixed-use developments normally found in a downtown area, such as those that include retail, office, and residential uses. The next one was the physical character. And this provides a zoning district that conforms with existing structures in the downtown area while providing flexibility for future development. It also providing a district that promotes an active streetscape with a pedestrian-friendly shopping environment by limiting off-street parking requirements and requiring construction and or preservation of new and existing sidewalk. Preserve the existing character of the downtown area by allowing buildings to abut up to the public right-of-way by limiting certain setback requirements and limiting landscaping buffering. It also updates existing related regulations by ensuring new exterior lighting, off-street parking, or landscaping is provided in accordance with the standards and regulations of the Republic Municipal Code. And it also requires screening for new developments to reduce the amount of nuisances to adjacent properties with less intense zoning designations, for example, like single-family residential districts that are in close proximity. I also want to point you direction of the exhibit here that kind of gives you a visualization of how we delineated the area. We kind of used the same definition that was provided by the jury students, the architecture students when they did a downtown area plan. And study. So it's centered around the Main Street corridor as shown in the middle on this exhibit, and then it's delineated by the following streets as the boundaries of Anderson Street along the north, Walnut Avenue along the west, Pine Avenue along the east, and Elm Street along the south, just north of the railroad. Lastly, amendments that do not directly relate to the Main Street District were included to ensure clarity of future enforcement regarding the zoning regulations for future developments and existing uses. Most of those were kind of clerical errors that were done in the past, and we were just kind of cleaning up the zoning district in sections that we kind of touched base with the Main Street District and went ahead and made those changes. Staff recommends the approval of the reference amendments in the outlined sections.
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak who's in favor of the application? Is there anyone that wishes to speak who's not in favor of the application? Close the hearing. Somebody want to make a motion?
Motion to vote on approval of ordinance 24-002.
Or discuss? Does anybody want to raise issues? Okay, I have a motion.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to recommend approval of amendments to sections of Chapter 405 zoning regulations. Call the roll.
Commissioner Ellis,
Aye.
Commissioner DeBrava,
Aye.
Commissioner Mann,
Aye.
Commissioner Hyder.
Aye.
Okay. No other business, citizen participation. Any citizen that wishes to come forward and talk to us at this time is welcome, and we would like to hear from you. Not seeing anyone come forward, we'll move to Community Development Department update.
No updates.
Ever popular. Did you say no?
No updates.
Okay. I'll take we're done, right? I just didn't understand what he said. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. Call for roll, please.
Commissioner DeBrava,
Aye.
Commissioner Hyder,
Aye.
Commissioner Ellis,
Aye.
Commissioner Mann.
Aye.